Hi everyone, welcome to this month's Lunch and Learn on the cost of complacency. I'm Faith, Health and Safety Consultant at Safety Forward. In today's Lunch and Learn, we'll be talking about complacency, specifically why people take risks at work, even when they know better. We'll be looking at why complacency happens, how leadership influences behaviour, how workplace culture shapes risk-taking, and what conversations and leadership skills help prevent unsafe behaviour. Just to let you all know, this session is recorded. If you do have any questions, just submit them through the chat function, which we'll discuss at the end. So one of the key ideas in modern safety leadership is understanding that most people do not intentionally choose to be unsafe. Usually, risky behaviour develops from normal workplace pressures. People may try to save time, try to avoid delaying work, try to help others, or rely too heavily on past experience. Over time, repetition creates familiarity, and familiarity can reduce awareness of risk. Someone may think that I've done this hundreds of times, nothing bad has happened before, or this will only take a second, and that's how complacency develops. Behaviour is often shaped by consequences and habits rather than attitude alone. If unsafe shortcuts repeatedly appear to work without consequences, the brain starts treating them as acceptable. That's why leadership influence matters so much. Leaders help shape what people see as normal. Complacency rarely appears suddenly. It usually develops slowly through repetition. A shortcut gets taken once, nothing bad happens, so it then gets repeated. Over time, people become comfortable with the risk. Then others begin copying the behaviour because it appears acceptable. Eventually, unsafe behaviour becomes part of the culture. The danger is that people often confuse luck with safety. Just because no one has been injured yet does not mean the situation is safe. Near misses and unsafe behaviours are warning signs. Most incidents have these warning signs before someone gets hurt, which is why it's so important to report near misses and unsafe acts and behaviours. Complacency often causes those warning signs to be ignored. People pay close attention to what leaders do, not just what leaders say. Followers closely observe leader behaviour and often mirror it over time. If leaders ignore shortcuts, rush procedures, don't wear PPE, or prioritise production over safety, employees notice that immediately, and those behaviours can quickly become normalised. On the other hand, leaders who consistently follow procedures, stop unsafe acts, reinforce good behaviours, and stay visible in the workplace create a much stronger safety culture. The example leaders set is one of the most powerful safety tools available because culture is shaped by what people repeatedly see. Moments of high influence. These are everyday situations where employees are especially influenced by how leaders react and communicate. What's important is that these moments often seem ordinary to the leader, but not to the employee. Examples include responding to a near miss, correcting an unsafe behaviour, discussing a mistake, handling production pressure, or reacting to a safety concern. Employees pay very close attention during these situations. They notice what leaders prioritise, whether safety is genuinely important, whether concerns are taken seriously, and whether shortcuts are tolerated. A leader may only spend a few minutes handling that situation, but the impact on safety culture can last much longer. For example, if an employee raises a concern and they're ignored, others may stop speaking up. If a leader calmly addresses unsafe behaviour and explains the reason behind the rule, employees are more likely to understand and accept the expectation. The key point is that culture is shaped through repeated everyday interactions. Small moments matter. People are far more likely to work safely when leaders consistently demonstrate the behaviours expected from others. Another important skill is visibility, being present where work is happening and paying attention to what people are doing. Leaders who remain visible create more opportunities to notice risks, reinforce safe behaviour, and intervene early. Active listening is also essential. People are more likely to report concerns when they feel respected and heard. Consistency is key. If rules are enforced inconsistently, employees receive mixed messages about what is actually important. Positive reinforcement is extremely powerful. Recognising safe behaviour can be just as effective as correcting unsafe behaviour. People repeat behaviours that receive attention. One of the most practical ways leaders influence safety is through everyday conversations. These are situations where employees are highly influenced by how leaders respond. For example, after a near miss, during a safety concern, while correcting unsafe behaviour, or when discussing changes. The quality of these conversations matter enormously. Balnut's Managing Safely Performance study guide talks about the SORRY method for correcting unsafe behaviour. This is stating the reason, describing the behaviour observed, explaining the requirements, asking the reasons, and explaining the consequences for you. This approach focuses on coaching rather than blame. Another leadership skill is asking effective questions, questions designed to influence thinking rather than simply gathering information. Conversations that encourage reflection are often far more effective than lectures. Strong safety culture doesn't happen by accident. It's built through repeated behaviours, conversations, and leadership actions over time. An important principle is recognising early warning indicators. These are small signs that tell leaders whether safety performance is improving or declining. Examples include housekeeping standards, PPE compliance, near-miss reporting, unsafe shortcuts, and employee engagement. Strong cultures encourage people to speak up early. They also focus on resolving small issues before they become major incidents. Another important point is reinforcement. People are more likely to repeat behaviours that are recognised positively. If leaders only speak to employees when something goes wrong, safety conversations become associated with criticism. Balanced leadership includes correction, encouragement, coaching, and visibility. To sum up, most unsafe behaviour does not begin with bad intentions. Usually, it develops through routine, pressure, habits, and gradual acceptance of shortcuts. Complacency grows quietly over time. That's why leadership matters so much. Everyday behaviours, conversations, and decisions influence what employees see as acceptable. Leaders make the greatest difference when they remain visible, lead by example, correct unsafe behaviour early, reinforce positive behaviour, and create an environment where people feel comfortable to speak up. Great leaders make a difference, and in safety, those differences can prevent injuries and protect lives. Does anybody have any questions?
Hi, Faith. Nothing's come into the chat yet, but a question I've got is, how do you stop experienced workers becoming complacent?
Good question, Shiley. Experience is valuable. It can sometimes create overconfidence, though. The best way to reduce complacency is through regular engagement, visible leadership, safety conversations, refresher training, and just encouraging people to challenge routine tasks rather than operating on autopilot. Keeping safety visible helps experienced workers stay alert to risks that they may no longer consciously notice.
Thanks, Faith. What's the difference between complacency and carelessness?
Carelessness suggests someone just doesn't care, whereas complacency usually develops gradually through familiarity and routine. Most people who become complacent still care about safety. They've just become maybe too comfortable with the task or the environment that they're working in.
Okay, there's nothing else to come into the chat, but I've just got one more, just in case anything else comes in. How can leaders challenge unsafe behaviour without sounding confrontational?
The most effective approach is to be calm, respectful, and coaching rather than blame. It's best to focus on behaviour, to explain the risk, ask questions is a really good thing to do as well, and to actually help the person think through the consequences. People respond much better when they feel supported rather than attacked.
Okay. Following on from that, what leadership behaviour has the biggest impact on safety culture?
Leading by example is probably the most powerful. Employees pay close attention to what leaders actually do. If leaders follow procedures consistently, wear their PPE properly, stop unsafe behaviours when they see it, that sends a very strong message about expectations.
Okay, that's all from me, Faith.
Okay. So thank you for attending today's Lunch and Learn. Oh, thank you.